G'day guys, James here from Mansfield & Co. Well, here we are again. We find ourselves in this lockdown situation that's affecting, I know, a lot of our clients and a lot of small businesses out in the community in Greater Sydney at the moment. Bit of deja vu if you ask me. The ATO and the federal and state government got together over the last couple of days and have released numerous stimulus items that help not only small business but individuals also. So obviously they recognise the fact that something needed to happen as a result of businesses being forced to close and employees being forced to either take leave or to stand down without pay. So we just thought we'd put out this quick video to obviously let people know what is available, how they can go about registering interest and registering for the various stimulus items, and what stimulus items will affect various types of structures, employees and other small businesses. So I guess the first one we'll talk about is the disaster payment. So during the Victorian lockdown, the government brought this payment out. So basically, this is the payment to employees who have been stood down. So to be eligible for this payment, you need to have lost either between 8 and 20 hours or more than 20 hours of work each week. So if you were a full-time employee and you've been put down to 10 hours a week, you've lost more than that 20 hours. One of the other rules with regards to this is the fact that you need to have no leave entitlements. So if you have leave entitlements for with your employer, then you need to exhaust those leave entitlements prior to be able to claim this from the government. This started from the second week of the lockdown, and the payment was $500 if you lost more than 20 hours, and if you were part-time it was $350. So that's been able to been applied for the last couple of weeks. So if people are already on that, that's great. The government in this latest round of stimulus have actually upped it. So if you've lost between 8 and 20 hours per week, you'll be eligible for $375 a week from the government. And if you've lost more than 20 hours of work each week, you'll be entitled to $600 per week from the government. The applications for this payment are open now. You need to go to Services New South Wales to be able to do that. And the new rates, so the increased rates up to the 600 and the 375 limits, they commence starting next Monday. So for next week, which is they call week 4 of the lockdown, you'll be entitled to that $600 or $375 dollar payment, depending on how many hours of employee work you've lost. The next one that we'll talk about there is a micro business stimulus item. So this is for businesses that don't classify for any of the other stimulus items, being the 15,000 payment and things like that. So this is for businesses that turn over between 30,000 a year and 75,000 a year. So they're classified as micro businesses. Technically, they wouldn't be registered for GST. So what the government has brought out for these guys is if you have lost more than 30% of your turnover over the lockdown period, or the 2-week lockdown period that we've had so far, against a relevant period in the 2019 year, because obviously that's the year that they're using because that's pre-COVID. Last year was also not a normal year, as we all know. So if you've lost 30% or more, then the government is going to pay you $1,500 a fortnight. So that's $750 a week, which is basically equivalent to what the JobKeeper was last year. To be able to apply for that, you need to go to Services New South Wales. You can register your interest from today, so the 14th of July. Applications for this item will open on the 26th of July. So not next Monday, but Monday week. So keep an eye out for that if you're classified as a micro business. Next, we look at non-employing businesses. So non-employing businesses are, the way the ATO classify this is that they're the ones that turn over more than 75,000, but they don't pay employees. So these businesses are sole traders, partnerships, so partners in a partnership, or trusts. So if you're running a business through a trust structure and you're receiving payment through distributions to beneficiaries, then this stimulus item is for you guys. So again, the eligibility criteria is that you must turn over more than $75,000, essentially be registered for GST, and you need to have had a drop in turnover of 30% or more as a result of this latest lockdown in New South Wales. So if you qualify for all those eligibility items, you will get $1,000 per week. So that's $1,000 per week. Again, the way that you will register for this one is you'll register your interest from today through the Services New South Wales website, and applications again will open on the 26th of July for this stimulus item. So now we look at obviously businesses that do employ. So basically what the government has offered here is, again, your turnover for the eligibility criteria must be more than 75,000, less than 50 million. You must have had a downturn of 30% as a direct result of the current lockdown in New South Wales. So what the government's offering here is the government will cover 40% of your payroll each week. They'll pay you between $1,500 and $10,000 depending on what your payroll is. So if your payroll, basically to get the maximum 10,000, 40% of your wages, that's 520,000. So if you paid wages of 1.3, you would get that maximum each week. More than that, 10,000 will be your cap. One of the eligibility criteria here is that your headcount, as at the 13th of July 2021, which was yesterday, cannot decrease. So if you are firing people or standing people down or whatever, then you're ineligible for that. So you have to make sure that you're keeping your employees on. That's one of the major things with this stimulus item, is that the government want to make sure employers are actively trying to keep employees in a job. Again, same as the previous ones, you can register your interest for this item on the 14th, which is today, through Services New South Wales, and the registration will open on the 26th of July, so not next Monday week. The final one there for business is for businesses that have been severely impacted. So this one was put out by the government or expressed by the government a couple of weeks ago. They've now recently, as of yesterday, increased the payments. So this is for businesses that turn over more than 75,000 and they have wages under the New South Wales payroll tax threshold of 1.2 million, and they have fewer than 20 employees. So if you fit that eligibility criteria and your income or turnover during the lockdown 2-week period has dropped between 30 and 50%, you will get a one-off payment of $7,500. If your income has dropped between 50 and 70%, you will get a one-off payment of $10,500. And if your income has dropped more than 70%, you will get a one-off payment of $15,000. So for the businesses out there that have been forced by the government to close, so you're talking beauty industry, gyms, those sorts of things, you guys should be eligible for that $15,000 one-off payment. Applications open for this on Monday the 19th. So one of the things that the government's telling us is to get ahead of the curve, get on today, go to the Service New South Wales website. You will register through Service New South Wales as a business. Just put in your details. So obviously if you're a sole trader, you put in your personal details, you need to put in your ABN, all of those types of things. Make sure all your contact details and everything are correct through the Australian Business Register. So if you do that, come Monday when the application process opens, you'll be able to go on, get the application processed that day or the next day, and hopefully the payment should roll in soon after that. couple of other little small ones that the government have brought out as well. Payroll tax. So for businesses that have wages between the payroll tax threshold of 1.2 and 10 million, the government's going to waive your payroll tax liability for July, August and September. So there'll be no payroll tax payable for those 3 months. If your wages are above the 10 million, they'll defer the payment for July, August and September. Another good one that the government have brought out is to do with regards to rental. So obviously with a lot of businesses that have been fully closed down, their major expense would be their rent expense. So as we saw last year, the government encouraged both the tenant and the landlord to negotiate between themselves a reduction in the rent. Some of that was obviously repaid and all of those types of things. So the government are taking the same approach now. So basically what they've said as an incentive for landlords to drop their tenants' rent is that any reduction in the rent that they give you over the lockdown period, the New South Wales government will look at that and they will be looking to pass on that reduction to the landlord in the way of a reduction of that in their land tax bill. So if they gave you $2,000 off rent over the 4-week period, if that's all we're locked down for, then their land tax bill would be reduced by that same amount. So essentially, the landlord's no worse off. He may be worse off in the short term, but like we've said before, for small business to survive, everyone has to come together and allow those negotiations to take place. So if you're in a business where you are renting commercial premises off a landlord, I'd start those conversations relatively soon. Maybe he's not aware of the stimulus package that's come out recently, so I'd have those conversations with him and get him to discuss them with his accountant. So that's a quick overview of the stimulus items that the government announced yesterday. Like I've said before, we're here to help. If you have any questions about what's happened or you're not sure if you will be eligible, give us a call. If you want to have a discussion or want us to look at certain things for you, we're more than willing to help. We've got limited staff in the office, but everyone's still available via phone. So hope everyone's going okay out there. Stay safe, and I'm sure if we do the right thing, this will end soon. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.